Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Greg Braggs Jr. alongside Greg Boysen. Two Gregs don't make a right here at CHGO Sports. This is CHGO Tavern Style, presented by Salerno's Pizza. Make sure you mention CHGO for 50% off your order. Another thing I wish we'd get 50% off of is our baseball teams here this summer, because watching them has been brutal. But the discussion for today is who has been more brutal or more disappointing so far this season. Greg, I don't know where you stay. Are you a Cubs fan or are you a Sox fan?
Well, I mean,
license and registration.
I'm a North Sider.
You're a North Sider.
Through and through.
As well as I am. Full disclosure here for this topic to set the table.
Yeah. And to me, as while the White Sox have been embarrassingly bad and may finish the season with the worst record in
ever
Major League Baseball history, a sport they've been playing for over a century. Way to go, Sox. There's still not a bigger disappointment than the Cubs are right now.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. Honestly, the Sox didn't come into the season with expectation, although I would say, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if you were saying the Sox were in such a complete tank mode that you had no expectations for them, that's just as bad as a team that did have expectations and are falling short of them, very short of them right now with the Cubs. But I have to agree with you. I mean, they both, the Cubs and Sox, since like the end of April, have the same record. And so that in and of itself, if you're talking about the White Sox being potentially the worst team in baseball history, and the Cubs have the same record as them for well over, almost 2 months now?
Nearly half a season.
Then there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about two of the worst teams in Chicago baseball history right now. Like that's kind of where it's trending, unless the Cubs can get their act together. So I'm not completely opposed with your assessment here, because to me, the Cubs right now, it's brutal watching them play. It's either the bullpen or the hitting. Or the hitting, or the bullpen.
Or both.
Or both.
Yeah, the Cubs had a lot of buzz around there. You go out and get Craig Counsell, guy that, widely respected around the league. Many believe the best manager in baseball. That led to some expectations going into a disappointing offseason. People thought, you don't go get Craig Counsell and pay him all this money just to get cheap in free agency. But they did.
Right.
Yeah, sure, you brought back Bellinger, who's been meh this year. You sign Showtime there, and he's been awesome. The starting pitching has been amazing. If you would have told me before the season started and showed me the starting pitching ERA and said, this is what you have going into the last week of June, I'm like, the Cubs probably have a 5-game lead in the division. Instead, they're in last freaking place because they can't hit. Zero clutch hitting, and when they actually do get a couple of runs, in comes the bullpen, and it's done. It's gone. Like Hector Neris, why is this guy still in Major League Baseball?
That game a couple days ago was just as nauseating as it can get.
Yeah, they're inventing new ways to lose every game. And you look on the South Side, it's been awful, but it was expected to be bad. Maybe not this bad, but it was expected to be bad.
Yeah,
and it's god awful over there, but the Cubs needed to. They were down 5-0 to the Sox twice and had to come back and win.
Right. If only the Cubs could play the Sox every day,
maybe
then we might be able to feel better about ourselves.
Maybe, but the Cubs are by far the bigger disappointment because there was expectation. People thought, they still could turn it around. There's a lot of baseball to go. The division, probably not going to happen, but the National League is so much up. You get a wild card. I mean, is that considered a successful season?
No.
Getting a wild card spot and losing a best 2 out of 3 series?
Just because they add more teams to be able to be in the race doesn't mean that you can't be disappointed. Like, you can rationalize and go, we're only a couple games out of the wild card. Well, so is every other bad team in baseball.
There's only 2 teams in the National League that are more than a game and a half out of the last wild card pot.
So
where the Cubs
baseball's
are
trying to create parity, but it's about quality, not quantity.
Right, great.
And baseball used to be great about that.
You get in, you play 2 games, you lose them both. You could say you were a playoff team. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
And I know the Cubs have some talent coming, and they're, this year probably wasn't eyed as a real year of being a contender, where they envisioned them maybe in, next season and beyond. But still, there was a lot of expectation here. Craig Counsell was supposed to make things better.
Right.
Granted,
and Milwaukee is
Yes.
the one flourishing, and we're sitting here.
So maybe it's, again, super early. Not a lot of this goes to me on Craig Counsell because he can only play the cards he's dealt with. He can't help Cody Bellinger not hitting for most of the year. He can't help that Dansby Swanson has been bad and hurt most of the year,
Right.
and Nico Horner is underachieved.
No, they don't have enough depth.
And they don't have any power. And their bullpen, no matter what number he calls, he's going to go up there and piddle down his leg.
That was the same problem they had last year, and they seem to not be able to address it once again this year. But there's one thing that you won't have a problem with, and that's if you hit up Salerno's Pizza and make sure you're mentioning CHGO to get 50% off your pizza there. We really appreciate Salerno's. You guys are going to be out. The CHGO Blackhawks crew is going to be out this Friday night coming up.
Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Game 6 of the
Can
Stanley
the
Cup
Oilers
Finals.
force a Game 7?
Yeah,
I certainly hope so.
So, yeah, if you head over to Grand Avenue, you can hang out with them Friday night with the CHGO Blackhawks crew and watch the Stanley Cup Finals, or call 312-666-3444 and make a reservation today, or also, once again, make your order and mention CHGO and get 50% off your pizza pie. So looking forward to it. Hopefully the baseball teams can bounce back here, because there's no better summer city in the world than Chicago, and the vibes are always much better when the baseball teams are playing better. And with hockey about to end, basketball just ended. Yeah, we'll have the draft to keep an eye on with NBA and NHL, but this is kind of the holdover period where we're trying to enjoy our summer and enjoy a little baseball, and we're not getting much of that right now on either side of the city.
No, this is the time of year where I finally start really paying attention, because with hockey and then the playoffs and the draft, it's like I keep an eye on it, but I don't really get. Now I'm going to start watching more, and it's going to be like, hey,
we'll start swearing at them more.
Well, maybe I won't be watching more. Make that decision for me, Cubs, within the next 2 weeks. Make me decide if I'm going to actually invest in you this summer, or I'm just going to rely on Cody's Twitter to tell me what's going on.
And we're going to have to get you to come out to a Friday 120 club.
Well, you got to that conflicts with our 2:30 CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
Take a day off, my friend. You guys have been working hard.
You've got the stroke around here, so make it happen.
I'll make sure my guy Greg comes out into the bleachers.
Got the t-shirt.
We
I'm
need
ready
a better
to go.
representative of the Gregs in the bleachers, because I'm giving Greg's a bad name out there in the left field bleachers.
I'll be the 120 Club DD that day.
Hell, I definitely need one of those. So we'll see you here. This has been another CHGO Tavern Style presented by Salerno's Pizza. Pick it up. Cubs baseball, White Sox baseball. We're tired of the crap. Get on board. Need some better baseball in our lives. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you for the next installment of Tavern Style.
We all silly like the mayor.